Hey guys, BixWeirRoadToRuta.com. I am on my morning walk. I love my morning walk. Yes, this is Oakland, California. Oakland's an interesting place. You got your crappy areas, you got your middle areas, you got your exciting areas, you got your forests and wilderness up in the hills. I live in the hills, and yeah, I love Oakland and I hate Oakland. I love Oakland because of the diversity. I hate Oakland because of the amount of social justice warriors that literally infest our streets. But hey, I get that side of it. They've been lied to by the media. They need to take the red pill. And the red pill wakes you up and says, you're being tooled, my friends. You're being manipulated and your emotions are being... It's beyond manipulation. It's a calculated move by the people that control you, your life. And it's when you wake up to that, you get angry. And I think you're going to see a lot of anger coming up as more and more is told about what's going on with the social media companies, Facebook and Twitter and YouTube, obviously, and the Democratic National Committee and the Democrats and the Republicans and the Republican National Committee. The swamp was never going to be easy to drain the swamp for Trump and the good guys. Now, Trump he's playing a little part of this thing. It's all going on behind the scenes by the good guys, as I've talked about many times. The good guys, the good guys, the good guys. I had so many critics say, "Oh, Bix, what are you talking about? There are no good guys." And then Q comes out and everybody's like, "Oh, wait a minute. Oh, Q's not a good guy." I'm like, what are you talking about? Oh my God. And you notice Q has kind of disappeared lately. Not talking much. I think the main Q spokesperson was General Kelly when he was chief of staff at Obama. I mean, not Obama, of Trump. General Kelly is helping lead the charge. He's not the main guy. I don't think there is a main guy of the good guys. One of the main guys who started to tear down the system was a guy named Michael Mukasey. And it might seem odd and strange that Michael Mukasey, who was the Attorney General for the United States under, I think, Bush, it might seem odd that he would be the one pulling a plug on the bad guys, but he presided over 9/11 hearings. He knew everything. And yes, when you know everything, you either shut up or you fight against the system or you just pretend nothing's happening. And Mukasey had to shut up, because if you don't shut up, you're dead. You're dead. Literally, you're dead. So he was quiet for a long time, and then something happened after 9/11, and the shackles came off, and Mukasey said, "We're going to take these guys down," along with his son. Michael Mukasey's son was the district attorney for the state of New York, or a prosecutor, and he's the guy who took down the Madoff clan. Now, Madoff wasn't one guy; it was a deep state operation. There's 2 floors to the Madoff office in New York. Top floor was the floor that did all the Ponzi scheme and all that. The bottom floor was the electronic computer trading division that basically it's how they paid off the bad guys. Run by, not necessarily Madoff. He was the front guy again, but the Mossad was in on it, the deep state. This is how they paid off politicians, judges, you name it. And that's what Trump is fighting. So keep it up, Trump, and mainly the people behind Trump. Keep it up, the good guys. We're proud of you. We know you're true patriots, and we know you're saving the world. And that's an amazing thing. Okay, there's a few things I want to talk about besides that. Number one, as of tomorrow morning, I am doing the drawing for the Road to Ruta comic book, Wishes and Rainbows, autographed, certified, encased, sealed, when the root of theory is finally proven to be the closest thing to reality, I don't even know what price these comics books will go for, but it'll be a lot. You look at the number one comic book sale, I think, is the original Superman. I think you blow that away. That was millions of dollars spent on the original Superman comic. I think the Road to Ruta comics will blow it away because they're more important. And this is autographed. And I toyed about whether or not to autograph it or not. Will it be worth more not autographed or autographed? And I'm like, well, nobody brought this to light except me. So I think the autograph would be more valuable. But you never know. Hey, autographed and certified by Weir. There you go. That's what this is. And I have the receipts of the sealing of the comic book and everything. And who gets a chance at the drawing? This is a drawing. It's a free drawing. It'll happen tomorrow morning, and it is everybody who's on the Road to Ruta, either in the private road. And private road is that Road to Ruta is $2.99 per year. You get a free Veritasium coin on a paper wallet and a free Road to Ruta silver coin, the coolest coin ever. Those coins are not sold retail. The only way you can get them is to join the Road to Ruta private road. And if you're in there, you get your name in the hat for the drawing. Also on Patreon, if you're a Patreon subscriber, which is $10 a month, your name is in the hat as well. And you got to be active. That's all you got to do. You have to sign up and you got to be active at the time of the drawing. So, there you have it. Those are the people who will have a shot at this multi-zillion-dollar comic book. And every day we get closer to proving the Road to Ruta is 100% correct, which is scary. It scares even me at times. How I came up with this, I was guided, not by people, by intuition and by hard work. But the intuition part is the thing I'm figuring out these days. Yes, I've written 4 books on conversations with God about gold and silver. And I never thought that something was guiding me. But lately with all the spiritual work I'm doing, absolutely 100%. There was a reason I was on the Federal Reserve Bank of Boston website on January 1st, probably about 10 in the morning, 11 in the morning, January 1st, 2007. The very day, remember that's a holiday, the very day that the Federal Reserve posted the Wishes and Rainbows comic, the Road to Ruta Teacher's Guide, and a pamphlet called Banking Basics. The Teacher's Guide and the Wishes and Rainbows comic both had huge red exclamation points after them. And if you don't know this research, go to roadtoruta.com, start learning, because it will change your world. It changed my life, and it is changing the lives of a lot of people. Because when you understand that there are good guys fighting the bad guys in the background, you understand that there is hope. And you don't get dragged down into this fear where my friend Dick Allgaier, I'm trying to rip him out of that fear. It's just, he's getting fed so much fear of, it's kind of like the way I felt 20 years ago when you find out about the Rothschilds and the Rockefellers and central banking and the evil archons and the Anunnaki and all these things that drive fear into our soul and make us powerless. That's exactly where Dick is coming from. He's coming from a place of lack of power because he's getting the information from people connected to the people controlling the system. And you can't get out of that, Dick. You can't get out of that until you break free and say, hey, I'm a sovereign individual. Yes, I can fight them. I can beat them. And there are others like me behind the scenes. I call them the good guys who are doing that very thing. And I'm doing my part, and Dick, you need to do your part. And man up. Say, hey, screw the Rothschilds and the Rockefellers and the Anunnaki and whoever controls our lives. This is my life. This is my life. I choose the way I want it to go moving forward, and nobody's going to control me anymore. It wasn't I did not cede my free will away when I was born into the system, and I refuse to listen to anybody who tells me, oh, this is the way it's got to be, because that's the way it's always been. And all this stuff about the revaluation and the Iraqi dinar and the sovereign right of admiral law and your Social Security, that's all from the bad world. That's all the bad guys plan. Let them plan all they want. Screw them. I didn't sign up for it. Because people send me that stuff all the time. Anna von Rees, or whatever her name is. And Nesra, even the Nesra Act, which I thought, that was the idea back in the 1990s. Revalue everything. The big problem, and the problem with what Ben's talking about as well, is the cryptos are going to be monetizing the derivative bubble, and a way to transfer the wealth from one place to the other. We don't want that. We don't want it. We don't want derivatives. And luckily, the good guys have a plan for that. And the plan was to deregulate derivatives in the late 1990s and make them, and that was done by Alan Greenspan, obviously, but also a couple real bad guys, Larry Summers and Robert Rubin, bad guys on the banking side. Between those two, who's the worst guy? Larry Summers. Now remember, Larry Summers is the controller of Mark Zuckerberg out of Harvard. Zuckerberg cannot program. He did not do anything on Facebook. And every meeting he has, if there's a big decision, he says, I'll be right back. He goes and makes a call to his controllers, probably Larry Summers, and says, what do I do? What do I do? Just sit Zuckerberg in a room and have him program anything, and he won't be able to do it. So yes, we are being lied to. We are being controlled. But those are the old days. And it is fear that is holding people like Dick back. As far as Ben's on the fence. He doesn't see the bigger picture about derivatives, and because they don't have a solution. The solution is not to bring it into the crypto world, because you're talking not only the hundreds of trillions in derivatives that they tell you about, but there's all the stuff they don't tell you about. And that's where the printing of Catherine Austin Fitts talks about, hey, wait a minute, there's 30 trillion that's unaccounted for. It's not 30 trillion, Catherine. Catherine goes by the numbers. It's like Ted Butler. You go by the numbers that the government gives you, and it proves the fraud. But the fraud is so much bigger in what they don't tell you. Derivatives are unlimited. The U.S. dollar is unlimited. They are printing it and printing it and printing it because people accept it. And that's ending. So I love Ben to death, and I love the people who are helping Ben with how to get their heads around this transition that's coming up. But there's no such thing as a smooth transition when it comes to the derivative world. It needs to be destroyed, and it will destroy itself ultimately, because it was designed to do that. It was designed to end the old system, the misallocation of wealth. Now, those derivatives, we don't want them into our system. We don't want them to be brought over. There is no smooth transition. Because if they're brought over, who controls everything? The same people who controlled it before. And do we need quadrillions in derivatives infesting the crypto markets? No. Crypto markets are standalone, the good ones. There's no trust needed. And remember this also, trust will be gone. When the derivative bubble blows, trust will be gone. We're not going to trust anybody. We won't trust politicians. We won't trust bankers. We won't trust central bankers. We won't trust computer programmers. We won't trust anybody. Luckily, the blockchain is a trust machine. If you trust math, a non-human, if you trust math and you don't have to trust anybody, voila, there you have your answer. So I love all these people to death, especially Ben and Dick. And I learn a ton from both of them. Although Dick is just, we got to get him out of that dark side. The dark, dark, dark place that we were all there 10, 15 years ago. And I know how hard it is to take the red pill. It's the red pill of the red pill, is what I said at the Anarchapulco conference. The red pill of the red pill. And once you see that the light is coming into planet Earth, the good guys are winning, spiritually and on the ground, then you have a whole new understanding of what our potential is. Because our potential is limitless. And we are getting rid of these criminals who have controlled our lives for so long, which is an awesome thing. I would also like to say, please, please, please listen to the interview I did yesterday with Benny Wills. Please, 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 please. It was shadow banned. It's only got 1,000 views. Why did they shadow ban it? same reason they shadow ban my music. Benny is an amazing poet and red pill operator. He distributes red pills every time he stands on stage. And he will be at the Spokane event. That would be July 14th. If you're anywhere in the vicinity of Spokane, come join us. It's free, and you're even going to get free food. We're doing heavy apps. There will be a bar, but you got to pay for your own drinks. And one more thing. I got all kinds of announcements. I am going on vacation next week. I'll be in New Orleans. Woohoo! A non-drinker in New Orleans. But I'm really excited. I got my whole family there, my immediate family, 3 kids and a lovely wife. And then I got some cousins there, so we're going to hang out. And so I'm not going to be chiming in too much. I know it's an exciting time for Litecoin right now. Everybody's like, "What, Biggs, why did Litecoin jump 10% in a matter of minutes?" It's very simple. And it's the reason it's over 50% of my holding. Litecoin has always been shooting for the number one prize in cryptocurrencies. The reason Satoshi created Bitcoin as a means of exchange. That's it. Even the Bitcoin core developers have not even admitted, they have promoted that Bitcoin is for safety and security and as a store of value. That's it. That's all they want. Because if you open up all these Lightning nodes, that's another vector of attack. And Bitcoin does not want that. And they love Litecoin. There's this kind of marriage of ideology between the Charlie Lee and the Bitcoin core developers and the Litecoin core developers. They work hand in hand, and with atomic swaps, you'll be dealing in both things instantaneously. You won't even know it. That's why I am a big proponent of the term, and I might have coined it, Litecoin 4-to-1. Hashtag 4-to-1 Litecoin, exclamation point. Hashtag 4-to-1 Litecoin. Where do I get that number? Somebody asked me the other day, were you the one who invented that big? I don't know. No, Charlie invented it. That's how he designed Litecoin. There's 4 times as many Litecoin as there are Bitcoin. Now we're getting into a silver versus gold type of thing. How much more useful is silver than gold? Massively. It's used in industrial applications all over the world. And it's also a monetary metal. For the Bitcoin and Litecoin ratio analysis, how much more useful is Litecoin? Well, as a means of exchange, because Bitcoin doesn't want to be that, it is night and day. Litecoin will be used as a means of exchange, also as a store of value. That's the amazing thing about Litecoin. And scalability, if nobody's going to be it, when we have full implementation of the Lightning Network, no one will beat the scalability of Litecoin because it will be infinite. It'll be infinitely scalable instantaneously. Just open up another Litecoin node. Open up another Litecoin channel. And it's limitless, the amount you can do on Litecoin with the Lightning Network. The speed will be instantaneous. Yes, it is off-chain scaling. But it's good and bad. If it's something that you don't have to rely on human beings, that's good. There's not even a trust. It's trustless still. It's just off-chain. So yeah, there's still things to think about. But then there's all on-chain scaling like Bitcoin Cash and Digibyte. But the problem with on-chain scaling is it can never scale fast enough with a banking derivative collapse. It has to be available now, instantly. Instant scaling. And I think the work that's been done on SegWit and Lightning Network and atomic swaps behind the scenes that they're still not telling people about, I think in the last couple of years, that is the solution. And when I talked to Charlie in my interview, that was my main question. Will it be there? Obviously, we don't need Litecoin today. We don't need it. We don't need a means of exchange. We have the U.S. dollar. And the U.S. dollar and the fiat currencies are what people use as a means of exchange. 7 billion people using their local currency. The minute that dies, the minute the derivative bubble goes off, we're going to need a means of exchange. And that was my question to Charlie. Will Litecoin be ready if there was a collapse? He said absolutely. Will there be hiccups? Yes, of course. Will the central bankers, the bad guy central bankers, try to revive the old system? Of course. Will it be overnight? No. Will it be a solution? First time we've had a solution in over 100 years that is viable besides gold and silver, which are no longer a solution for various reasons. Silver, obviously, there's not enough of it, and it's needed in other places, right? It's too valuable to use as money. Gold, who's got all the gold? Those same criminal bankers. Who's got all the gold? Yeah, it's a lot hidden in the Grand Canyon. Are we going to rip apart the Grand Canyon to pull the gold out? I don't think so, because we don't need it. And Bitcoin is a better use of gold, of the gold, digital gold, in every aspect. And I can argue, hey, anybody want to debate me on the gold side about cryptos and gold? Let's do it. And precious metals, let's do it. Bitcoin will kick ass when it comes to gold. Litecoin will kick ass when it comes to silver, except on the industrial side. And silver is going to be released from the criminals, which is an amazing thing because that's 150 years of manipulation. I don't know where it would stop if it was freely traded, if there was markets available when the banks crashed. That's the other thing. Probably no markets will be open when the derivative bubble goes off. So you're just going to have to trust that at some point markets will start up again and your holdings of Bitcoin, Litecoin, cryptocurrencies, gold and silver will be freely traded, probably at numbers 100, 200, 300 times what they are right now. And that's actually a lot of data I'm hearing from Cliff High, Michelle White Dove, a lot of woo-woo people, is that there comes a point, and I talk about this point on the private road, that point, the timeline article, I talk about that. And I'm going to actually post the number one part of the timeline article on the Patreon. It's a 2-part video series. I'm posting part 1 on Patreon. This is the announcement. Part 1 on Patreon today. And so go to join the Patreon and check out part 1, and then I'll post part 2 at some time in the future. For you Road to Ruta members, private road members, just go to the private road section. It's right there on the top, Ruta's timeline. Obviously it talks a lot about the derivative situation, when it'll happen, and how it'll look. And then I'm working on another one. I never stop working about the aftermath. And no, the derivatives won't be brought all into the crypto world. That would take deciders. And again, there will be no deciders. There cannot be any deciders. Not even the crypto guys are not going to be able to decide what's going on because trust will be lost in the system. Fun times, right? No, this is the end of the road to Ruta. And it was quite a plan. It's planned out probably since before 1913, but definitely since the 60s when Alan Greenspan invented the first banking computer programs with his friend John Kimeny. Yes, Alan Greenspan was the guy who invented it was his fault. Y2K was his fault. I love it in his book when he talks about Y2K. He can't come out and say, oh, it was my fault. But it was him, and he says, well, we were working on these programs back then. Little did I know that, we screwed up in the early days of banking and programmed only 2 digits instead of 4. And everyone's like, what? Wait a minute. Alan Greenspan and computers? I don't get it. Do the homework. Him and his buddy Lowell Wiltbank. Lowell Wiltbank ran the hardware. Alan Greenspan created the software programs, and working out of his office in Manhattan, huge Manhattan office, because when he had computers in the early days, stock picking was the easiest thing ever. He was multi-zillionaire, and he could have ran with that and said, hey, I'm going to be way richer than anybody on planet Earth. But instead, he teamed up with Arthur Burns, the head of the Fed, and said, let's do something good for humanity and control the system for a long time, set up the petrodollar, and then you got your dark forces in there too. It's very complicated. But yeah, Alan Greenspan was a computer programmer from the early 1960s, and he still is today. And he's 94, 95. The big question is, will Alan Greenspan be alive to see the end of the road to Ruta? His plan. And mind you, Alan Greenspan's doctorate thesis has never been seen by public. Reuters, or I think it was Reuters, or it wasn't Reuters. It was it Reuters? It might have been Reuters. Some magazine saw part of it. They didn't talk about the title. I think the title is The Road to Ruta. The Road to Root A. Root A is a computer programming term, and also talked about in the Fed comic books. All right? Wow, this is a little bit of everything today. So, things you need to know, go to Patreon. I'll be posting the first half of the timeline on Patreon. Or if you want the whole thing, go to Road to Ruta Private Road. You get the whole thing, the whole kit and caboodle, all 3,000 articles I've written. It still boggles the mind how long I've been doing this. And Litecoin is the right coin. Litecoin is the coin that everybody and their mother will flock to when the banks go down. Everybody and their mother. It is the golden ring, the golden chalice of cryptocurrencies. It is what Satoshi created Bitcoin for. All right? Hope that helps. This is BigSquare, roadtoruta.com. Talk to you later.